Welcome once again to another edition of Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in downtown Brevard, North Carolina. Just finished filming round 3 of a granny square, and the last one on building granny squares is going to be on round 4. We're going to continue on the whole theme of building corners and sides inside spaces. The biggest thing is every hole gets something. Corners go in corners. So we'll map it out again, just like we did for the other few rows that we've done so far. And I will, on this one, which is going to end up like this one eventually, I will build round 4. This has 5, but we're only doing 4 videos on the rounds because it really takes this idea and just keeps extrapolating, keeps getting more side spaces, but it's the same theory, it's the same idea. So this is the last one on how to build the granny squares. We'll see what we can do in the future. But for right now, let's get to it. Okay, now round 4, which I'm gonna do in this green, and all the rounds after it are going to be building on the same concept. We went from just the 4 in the center to round 2, we built our corners. Round 3, we have corners and sides. And round 4 and all the other rounds after that, for as big as you'd like to make it, it's identifying where the sides are and where the corners are. And it's making sure you do corners into corners and work your way along the side to the next corner. So let's do that on here with our geometric shapes. I'm going to start in that same upper left-hand corner. We're going to get our 3 double crochets, which might be a building height and then 2 more. And this is a corner below me. So we're going to chain 2 and stick another set of 3 double crochets in here to build our corner. Now we have 2 spaces, one more than last time. Everything's going to build by units of 1 basically on each side. We have, last time we only had 1 side unit, now we're going to have 2. But we're going to keep working along till the corner. So chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next space, chain 1, we're always skipping the 3 double crochets underneath, and only 1 set of 3 double crochets on the side. Now we're coming up on a corner. And as we looked at in the last video, a corner, you should be able to identify there's 2 units of 3 double crochets in the same space. And we want to replicate that on top of it. So we chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets into the same space. And now we have another side. We need to work to the next corner. So we're going to chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1. Here we have a corner. So we're going to 3 double crochet, chain 2 to build our corner, and to finish off the corner, 3 more double crochets into the same space. Chain 1, 3 double crochets, work our way along the third side, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the next space, chain 1, we have another corner. To build a corner on top of a corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Now we need to work our way back over to where we started. So chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, slip stitch. That's the geometry of it. The same thing we've been doing all along is look for units when we have the symbols, which for some people can look really confusing. Look for recognizable things. So in a crochet chart, where you start is where you'll see the chains for your height, and that counts as your first post, your first double crochet. And then it'll probably have 2 more. chain 2, another unit of 3 double crochets, all into the same space. Only chain 1 for our purposes between, but we're always going into the space below. 3 double crochets. I'm just drawing them to make sure I have space in a way that might look a little out of order. Make sure I get all my symbols in. Chain 1, 3 double crochets. We know they're doubles because they have that one, they have a T-pin with a little slash mark. Chain 1. Here's a corner. Here's a chain 2 space. We need to put in 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets, all into the same space. Work across this side, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, but we're in a corner, so we're going to chain 2, and we're going to put in 3 more, all into the same corner. Now again, work across the side, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1. I'm already up at my corner. 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into that corner. A corner into a corner. They are stacking. We could draw diagonal lines out from these corners. They would line up. Chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the next space, chain 1, and slip stitch to combine them together. Now here's the other thing I just want to point out, since this may be our last video with this chart. One of the sneaky ways I remember or count what row I'm on is how many units of 3 double crochets do I have per side. On round 1, I only have 1. On round 2, I have 2. On round 3, I have 3 per side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. On round 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of sneaky, but if it helps you with numbers, that can help you know how many rows you've done. Especially if you've done the same color, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4. We can count out from the center, or we can count how many little squares we've made along the side. Let's try it with real yarn now. Okay, we left off last video having just done round 3, and here we are. And as I just demonstrated in the visuals, we can always check by counting the number of units we have on a side between corners. I've got 3, or counting out from the center, 1, 2, 3. Now, just again to quickly review, we did this at the end of last video, but not everyone's watching these back to back. That's okay. So just to review, when you finish a round, let me get this without slipping. When you finish a round, you have usually done a slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. If you want to keep going with this color, we need to slip over to the corner. So go into the top of the next double crochet, yarn over, and pull through everything. That's a slip stitch. Go into the top of the 3rd stitch there. It's your 2nd double crochet of the round. And then go into the space and slip stitch again. And now you're ready to start round 4. Now on this one, I'm going to be using my dark purple. So I'm going to be switching colors. You can switch colors as often or as infrequently as you want. So I'm going to go back to the top of my chain 3, and most patterns will say fasten off at this point. So I'm going to I like slipping into the next stitch just for a little more stability. You can break the yarn or you can cut it. Give yourself enough of a tail that you can weave your end in and secure it later and just pull through. I'm going to go to the corner just to the left of this though to start my next one. You can start in any corner you want for what I was demonstrating in my drawings, but I like the next one because as I come around the end, I can secure this guy in place. You really can do that anywhere you start though. So as we've been doing this whole time, the way I attach a new yarn is I leave enough tail that I can put it on a needle later. I'm going to pinch it to the back of my work with my right hand, just to the right of the hole that I'm going to go into, mostly so I can get my tension set up. And then, because I need to grab my hook in the correct way, I'm going to take my thumb and whatever finger likes to work with it in crochet and pinch my work so I can get, oh, and I lost my tension there, so I can get my hook into that first space. I can grab, either bring the yarn over or the hook under. I can grab the yarn and pull it under, and I'm going to secure it with a slip stitch, which is a yarn over, a pull through. Now I'm in the exact same space I would have been in if I had slipped over with the same color. I'm going to build my height, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That initial slip stitch is not part of this chain 3, but no worries if you make it part of that. If you don't chain up the full 3 that I just did, it's not the end of the world. Now it's a corner. I need to build a corner. This counts as a stitch. I need 2 more double crochets to get my 3. I'm going to go into the same hole, not into the top of the stitch, but the same hole. Here's my 2. Here's my 3. Now to build, again, 2 into 1, 2 into 1. In this middle between the 2, I need to put another 2. So I'm going to chain 2 for my corner. Yarn over before you start every double crochet. Let's get 3 more in this corner. 1, 2, and see my muscle memory, I almost kind of just start my double crochet without even thinking about it. 3. I'll have to be careful the next time I have to do singles that I don't accidentally yarn over before I start. Now, I have, whereas on round 3, I only had 1 space between corners. Now I've got 2. So in each space, I need to put a unit of 3 before I hit my big corner. So I'm just going to work my way along the side, chain 1 between units on a side. First hole, skipping my 3 double crochets. First hole, I'm going to go 1, yarn over to do my 2, yarn over to do my 3. The next one, it's not a corner. I have 2 distinct units of 3 on either side of this space that are not in the same hole. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go to the next space, the next hole, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets. Now I need to get over, this is a corner, and I want to put a corner in a corner, but between units on a side, I only chain 1. Let's get in my first unit of 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we got these guys stacked in here. I need another set of 3. I need to build my corner. So I need to turn the corner with 2 chains and finish off my corner by putting 3 double crochets in the same space. 1, 2, 3. And it happens to the best of us that we accidentally put corners into sides. If you ever look back and see that you've got a little barnacle sticking out, rip back, pull it back until it makes sense and start again. I have 2 spaces till I hit my next corner. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go into the next space. I did that fast. Let me see. Here's the corner. Here's my next space. The spaces are between units of 3. 1. Whoop. And when that happens, I tend to back out. You can try to save the stitch, but it's okay. It doesn't take that long usually to rebuild your stitch again. So I back out so I can do my second one again from the very beginning. I have one more space that is not a corner. Chain 1. Let's just put 3 into that space. 1, 2, 3. Now this is a corner. I have 2 units coming up that are in the same space. So the space between these units gets its own corner. So I chain 1 to get over there. Go into this space between the 2 units. Let's do 3 double crochets. Chain 2. And 3 more. We want it to look just like the ones right underneath it. All right, halfway around, just a little over halfway actually. Got one more corner to get over to and 2 spaces. So chain 1 so we can hit the first space with 3 double crochets. And when in doubt, look down and count your posts. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1. There's my next space. Let's put 3 double crochets in there. Now we're hitting a corner with those 2 units into one hole. So in the space in between those 2 units, we got to put another corner. So we chain 1 to get over there. 3 double crochets. Now to make it match, we need to turn our corner. 1, 2. And I always, when I'm done chaining, I just kind of automatically set up for a double when I'm doing granny squares, you know. So I've already set up for my double. I'm going to put 3 more doubles. 1, 2, 3. Now I have 2 more spaces before I hit where I started on this row. So we're going to chain 1. And between side spaces, we chain 1. And inside spaces, we only put 3, 1 unit of 3 double crochets. I have 1 more left. Put something in each space on the row below. And this is where my tail is, so I'm going to drape him over to the right so I can put my double crochets around him. And he's a little loosey-goosey. I can yank him tighter after I'm done. Here's my second. Here's my third. Chain 1 to bridge the gap to my beginning, chain 3. And when in doubt, find that 1, 2, that middle guy with his hole at the top, and the space next to that, to the right of that, is where I want to do a slip stitch to combine this together. And we can either slip 1, 2, 3 to the next hole, or we can only slip 1 and fasten off. So thanks again for joining us for round 4. And just a few things to point out before we go. We have corners stacked upon corners in a diagonal coming out. We have single units on the side. Remember, my units are my 3 double crochets kind of bundled together. And to keep track of what row we're on, we can count from the center out, 1, 2, 3, 4, or we can go from corner to corner, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little units of 3 double crochets means we're on row 4. So again, you can extrapolate from this for any other row after this. Row 5, we'll have 5 across, we'll have 3 individuals in the center before we hit our corners. It will keep growing by 1 unit per side. And as you get bigger, you may want to stop skipping the chain, like may want to reduce the number of chains between units by like 1. So on the sides, you may not want any the further out you get, so it won't go too flippy floppy on you. Or you might be fine with that. It's all good. I still have a few other videos, hopefully, to do for this series, but this was the end of our how to do rows, because you can build upon the knowledge you have now received. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to this channel. You can always give this a thumbs up or a comment that helps the algorithms. If you'd like to monetarily support the work that we do here, you can become a member on this channel, or you can go to patreon.com/sundragon. Those 2 last groups get their name in the credits of these videos. We appreciate everybody who tunes in. And as we always like to say, may your crafting be filled with joy and confidence. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.